Let's spend a few moments now talking with a name you're very familiar with, Arm & Hammer, as they are doing some expansion into the animal industry, and some exciting announcements have been made, and one of those is what took place here right just a few weeks ago as Arm & Hammer purchased ViCOR. Now, ViCOR, some folks may be familiar with it, and we'll talk with Mark Holt, who kind of comes along with Arm & Hammer because of this situation, and you're now part of the family. So let's talk a little bit just briefly about what ViCOR is and what you're bringing to Arm & Hammer.
Well, ViCOR was a bioscience company. We pioneered a lot of innovation in the yeast industry and decided we would conduct a series of studies and research to determine exactly what does yeast do, how does it work, and how do we get more of the good things in yeast that make things better. And we actually developed a whole new technology called refined functional carbohydrates. ViCOR's mission was to be the best in the world at supplying natural solutions to animal health, performance, and nutrition. And we went from being a little company that nobody knew of back in 1998 with only 3 customers to hundreds of customers in 70 different countries. And somehow or another we landed on the Arm & Hammer radar as a acquisition target.
All right, so let's talk about it. There's some transition phase right now, but one of those products that the folks I know some are familiar with, we're going to become more familiar with, TrueMax. So tell us about that.
Well, TrueMax was a product developed specifically for the beef feedlot industry. We we had different approaches, but predominantly a product that can be used in starter diets, and actually we've done studies with University of California to take the product all the way through finishing. The results were fairly significant. We compared to mainstream antibiotic growth promotion products, AGPs, and had a very successful outcome on those trials, Texas Tech, some of these others. So we're very encouraged, and we, for 7 years, have been slowly and gradually gaining more and more traction in the feedlot industry. Today we have some very prominent nutritionists who are excited about the potential this product offers.
So this refined functional carbohydrates, could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. The yeast cell itself is comprised of some very tightly bound structure, and mammals and livestock do not possess enough of the enzyme systems to take them apart in the manner in which we do in a fermentation vessel. And what we've figured out is how to dissect them with enzymes, dissect the structure of the yeast to make these compounds more available, to liberate them, so that each refined functional carbohydrate has more effectiveness by being detached and free and singular in its form. Is much more potent, much more effective, and the beauty is it qualifies as an all-natural product.
That's one of the things, of course, that the big segment of the industry is wanting. Consumers are wanting that, but I think what some of the trials that have been going on show very positive results, not only from that angle, but trying to become more efficient, which is really the key.
Well, bottom line is we don't feed cows, chickens, pigs, yaks, and emus. We feed the human population. And the human population is wanting an all-natural, antibiotic-free product. And we have to, with population densities to be efficient, population densities of livestock to be efficient at producing protein for the world, we have to have some alternatives. And I think that's what ViCOR really started to focus on. And I really think that's what interested Arm & Hammer in ViCOR, was the core science we were developing.
All right, Mark, come up with maybe some final comments. We'll come back in just a minute. Scott Druker with the Arm & Hammer Animal Nutrition. So we've heard this end. Now it's your opportunity. Arm & Hammer, I think maybe folks in the beef belt maybe weren't familiar that you had an animal nutrition division. So talk about an acquisition like this.
Sure, absolutely. So we have been in the animal nutrition business for 5 decades. Started with what probably everybody recognizes as sodium bicarbonate buffer. We kind of pioneered the use for that in the dairy industry. And we actually have a history over those 5 decades of launching new technologies into the dairy industry. So we have a really rich and historic position in dairy nutrition, with a focus on better health through nutrition. And then about 5 years ago, we said, hey, we call ourselves an animal nutrition business. Maybe we should really start thinking about getting out beyond just dairy, and obviously beef is a perfect complementary area for us to go into. So we started looking at our existing portfolio into dairy and where do we find opportunities for that in beef. And as Mark pointed out, his company came onto our radar screen and was a very natural extension into what we wanted to do and get into other species, beef in particular.
So as we talk about TruMax and the other products, these are part of that ration, and so it's something that is along kind of for the ride of the life of that animal once it kind of hits on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what the beautiful fit of it. It fits right in with our core concept of how we operate and the products. And yeah, it's a life cycle product. I think one of the benefits that we have is now we come with also a portfolio of products. We've been researching our existing portfolio in dairy and beef over the past 2 years. Now with the TruMax product coming on, I think we'll have a really nice portfolio of products to offer into the beef industry.
What else, anything else from Arm & Hammer Animal Nutrition side as we talk about this acquisition and as you move forward?
The biggest thing is, we're really excited, and like I said, we have such a long history in dairy, but our people are passionate about the ag industry. So we're really excited about this opportunity to take the passion and the drive that we've had for dairy and start bringing it into the beef industry. And we're going to be very proud 5 decades from now when people recognize us in all the various animal businesses as well. So,
all right, Scott, thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Mark, I'll give you the last word. And again, we talked about, let's talk just a little bit again about the way, as guys can use it or folks use it on their rations, and there's a couple different maybe what forms they can do that.
Yeah, it's, we have a liquid application. We have a soluble concentrated powder that can be used in micro machines. It can also be used in liquid application because it is soluble. And then we have a dry granular product that's less dense and can be mixed well into a TMR wagon. And then just wrapping up, I would just like to say, people always say, well, why Arm & Hammer? And Arm & Hammer brought to the table something that I was looking for. Number one, their values were in alignment with ours. Number two, they're an American company, which meant a lot to me. And lastly, they were willing to commit the resources to plug the holes in our research, to fill in those gaps where we're missing certain things. And so it was their attitude, moreover than it was the money, so to speak, their attitude about perpetuating this company. And I think what underscored that the most, we had 70 employees, and they retained 90% of them. And I think that spoke very highly of their willingness to do the right thing with the business and, I guess, shepherd the company and propel it and keep it going. So I was very excited about that.
Well, we look forward to hearing more about this whole relationship as it moves forward. So again, Mark Holt, Scott Druker have joined us. We've been talking ViCOR as they become part of the Arm & Hammer Animal Nutrition. And that's the AgView from San Antonio. I'm Ken Rogers.